welcome back to the Bliss Bean. I wanted this video to have a little more of a casual feel, so I'm sitting here on the ground. It's actually really comfortable though. So I'm starting a new series and it's going to be all about the gap year that I'm going to take after high school and everything leading up to it. I just want to take you guys along on that journey with me. This first video is going to be the very beginning, why I want to take a gap year in the first place, and then the first steps that I have taken to planning it. So why do I want to take a gap year? I want to take a gap year because I don't like school. I'm just kidding. I have a lot of reasons. So first off, I love traveling and I want to see the world, and what better time than after high school? Probably at no point in my life will I have as much freedom as I do right after high school. I won't be in school, I won't be in a relationship, and I won't have a family. I feel like that's an opportunity I need to take advantage of. Second, college is expensive, as you might know already, and I don't want to jump into it without knowing what it is that I actually want to get out of it. That's going to kind of be reason number 3. I don't really feel like I have a clear-cut career path yet, and I know no one really has a clear career path. I have all of these interests in different things like photography and filmmaking and design, and I'm not even entirely sure what I would major in college. And so I don't want to make that decision until I have some time to experience those things more and experiment. Another reason is my parents. They didn't take a gap year, but when they were in college, even though they didn't have a lot of money, they just traveled all around Europe in a car, and that has rubbed off on me a lot because I love to travel. I just feel like travel is a value in our family, you know? Another reason is I would like to start my gap year by spending a couple of months in Lithuania. Lithuania is where I was born, and the last time I visited was right before 8th grade, so it's been a while since I've been back. We do speak Lithuanian at home, but I can definitely feel it fading, which is kind of scary. I have to substitute English words when I forget Lithuanian words, and so I would like to go back for a few months and visit family, like refresh my Lithuanian skills. And then the last reason is practicing languages. I mentioned that with Lithuania, but I would also really like to spend time in Spain so that I can practice Spanish outside of the classroom. And then I've also just started learning Korean, and I will start learning French next school year, so it would just be amazing to get like this immersive language experience. So a big question with gap years is, do you apply for college during your senior year or do you apply during your gap year? And I am deciding to apply during my gap year, mainly because I am taking this gap year partly to figure out what it is that I want to major in and where I would like to study in the first place. I feel like I don't have answers to those questions yet, and I'm going off in search of those answers, so it doesn't make sense to me to apply right now, but I do have to start thinking about it. I talked to my counselor. I have to make sure that my school still has my transcript so I can send it off. I need to get teacher recommendations because in a year, 2 years time, they'll have forgotten what kind of student I was. So yeah, there's a couple of things that you need to prepare during your senior year, even if you're not applying for college during your senior year. I think a common misconception about gap years is that colleges don't want you to take a gap year, or that they'll look down on you for doing that. I don't know about all colleges, but from the research that I've done, according to my research, the common consensus seems to be that colleges appreciate gap years and they acknowledge the enrichment that comes from taking a gap year. I know, for example, that Harvard actually encourages admitted students to take a gap year, so that also is not something I'm worried about. I think that if anything, taking a gap year will help me get into the college that I want to get into. So usually the first step of anything is the hardest, and that was true for this experience, not because it was difficult, but because I just had no idea where to start. So first of all, I decided to start by just reading articles about gap years. That was like me dipping my toe into the water of gap years. After that, what I did was I signed up for an email challenge. There's this website called Boots and All, and it's basically all about travel, but maybe more specifically long-term travel, like around the world trips. And so I signed up for their email challenge, and it's a 30-day email course. Each day they take you through a different aspect of planning your gap year. When summer started, I had the perfect opportunity to get it done. I even got a special notebook to take notes in. This was a free notebook. Honestly, if you put the words free and notebook in the same sentence, that is music to my ears. It's a pretty small notebook, but I just thought it was super like travel-y because of the red and blue stripes and then the French writing. So each day I would take notes on what I learned. I mentioned that they had like action steps to do every day, and I didn't do all of them because my gap year is still like a year out, and so not all of them were really immediately relevant to me, but I'll probably go back and do them later. The second day of the challenge was about figuring out what you're passionate about. And I really appreciated that they started with this because I feel like before you start planning your gap year, you should figure out why you're taking your gap year. So basically they asked, what are you passionate about? And then how will a gap year help you develop those passions? Ooh, I forgot about this page. So I wrote down some quotes that really inspired me. This is one from the email. Don't push forward or let others push you forward into a life that is not consciously of your own choosing. And that really meant a lot to me because I feel like there's a lot of like momentum in high school to follow a certain path. It's high school, college, career, no question about it. And I don't want to be pushed into college straight away just because it's the path that's set out for me. Another quote is by Anthony Bourdain. If I'm an advocate for anything, it's to move as far as you can, as much as you can, across the ocean or simply across the river. The extent to which you can walk in someone else's shoes or at least eat their food, it's a plus for everybody. Open your mind, get off the couch, move. I don't have anything to say about that. I'll just leave it there. The next day's challenge was choosing the pillars of your trip. So basically like the places that you really want to visit and everything else you'll build in around it. I made a long list and then I started the places that I really had my heart set on. So I starred Lithuania, Spain, South Korea, the Great Wall of China, and Bali. Some of the days I had to do research for every single country that I planned to visit. So for example, day 8 was all about immunizations, and so I made a table about the requirements for each country. And then there was another day that was about visas, if I can find that. I think that was the longest section that I took notes on. I just found it really fascinating. For example, it's apparently pretty hard to get a visa to go into China, so you need a lot of paperwork. Okay, I should clarify that I have a Lithuanian passport, so I don't know about the requirements for people with US passports. For South Korea, I do not need a visa and I can stay for 90 days. So that's a couple of like the highlight pages, I would say, but let me know if you would want for me to do a full tour of my notebook because there's a lot of interesting stuff in here. I'll also leave the link for the email challenge in the description. I highly recommend it, especially if you have no idea where to start like I did. Another thing that I've done to prepare is that I traveled solo for the first time. I traveled from Long Island back home to Wisconsin all by myself. It was a really eye-opening experience. I learned things like how difficult it is to get into a bathroom stall with your luggage. I got comfortable with eating alone or eating at a table with strangers when all of the tables were full. I had to navigate train stations and purchase subway and bus tickets. So what are my next steps? Okay, so the main next step is saving money. Some of the days of the email challenge took you through like estimating a budget, and it really isn't as bad as I thought it would be, especially because I plan on doing a lot of workaways. You may have heard of woofing, which is working on organic farms around the world, but then there's also different kinds of workaways where you might be like working at a bed and breakfast somewhere where you help business owners in exchange for room and board. So different experiences like that I think will be really important because they'll save so much money and also just be interesting things to try. I don't currently make money from blogging, but I stick with it because I hope that in the future I'll be able to. And other things I'm currently doing are working for my parents' business, and then I also have like a photography business that I started about a month ago, and that has actually been going really well. So I've been making money from those things, and then I've been setting goals. I have a goal for 2018, and then I've been breaking that up into monthly goals for how much money I want to earn. Another important next step is to start involving my parents more in the process. I didn't really want to have any like deep conversations with them until I had done a good amount of research, which I think I've done now, because I didn't want them to see me as unprepared. I want to be able to answer the questions or the doubts that they might have. I think something that will really help is the fact that I survived that trip from Long Island to Wisconsin. I think I proved myself somewhat, and I also stayed way under budget for that trip, which they were impressed with, and I was like, yeah, I'm good at traveling. I think being that my gap year is still a year away, those are good steps to be focusing on and not too much of like the super specifics. And then to finish off the video, I wanted to do like my hopes for this series. The reason I started this series is because I would like to document my experience for other people who are looking to take a gap year, but also for myself, for future me, who will be able to look back on the planning process and the trip, and then also for my family and friends to follow along. Probably the planning process won't be interesting to them, but definitely the actual travel part of it. I'll have a few more episodes like this one where I talk about the planning part, and then there'll definitely be a lot of videos once I actually get on the road. It feels really weird to be saying that because it's a year away, but I think I need to start really talking about it like it's a concrete thing so that I can really mentally commit myself to this. If you are someone who's planning a gap year right now or has taken a gap year, don't be a stranger. I would love to connect and to talk to someone who is going through or has gone through a similar experience. And then very last thing is, don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed watching it. And I realize this is pretty different from other videos that I've done, but if you enjoyed this video or any of my other videos, please subscribe to my channel so that you can stay updated on all of my newest videos. And that's all from me for today, so until next time, bye!